The numbers don't lie, America's drowning in $38 trillion of debt. The cameras flicker, the air tight with tension. On live television, under the vaulted ceiling of the National Economic Forum, Denzel Washington sits across from former President Donald Trump. Between them, a single piece of paper, the debt chart. Red lines climbing like fire. Denzel's voice cuts through the silence. Low. Steady. Surgical. Every 120 days, this country borrows another trillion. That's not a policy. That's an addiction. Trump leans back, smirking. The crowd splits, half cheering, half holding its breath. We built the greatest economy in history, Trump fires back. If I had 4 more years, there'd be no debt crisis. Only winners. But Denzel doesn't flinch. His gaze is razor-sharp, his tone colder than steel. You built an empire on credit cards and called it leadership. The moderator freezes. The audience gasps. For a moment, it's not politics anymore, it's confrontation. Legacy versus accountability. Cameras zoom in on Denzel's face. Calm, but coiled. Every word a gavel. You don't fix a nation by printing courage and signing debt. You fix it by facing what broke it. Trump's smile flickers. He wasn't ready for the actor's precision, not the Hollywood kind, the human kind. Across the country, millions watch in stunned silence. Twitter explodes. Hashtags trend, hashtag Denzel vs. Trump and hashtag 38 trillion truth. Outside the studio, protesters chant. Inside, Denzel leans forward. His voice drops to a whisper. So tell us, Mr. President, where did the $38 trillion go? The room goes dead silent. Even the cameras stop moving. Trump shifts in his chair, fingers drumming on the table. The golden cufflinks glint under the studio lights, but the confidence behind them wavers. He forces a grin. You actors love drama, don't you, Denzel? You read scripts. I wrote history. The crowd chuckles, uneasy, unsure whose side to take. Denzel doesn't blink. He slowly unfolds a document, crisp and stamped with the Treasury seal. The camera zooms in. Federal spending discrepancy, fiscal 2024. This isn't a script, Denzel says quietly. This is the paper trail. Line 47, $190 billion in unclassified expenditures. Care to tell the American people what that means? The moderator stammers. Trump adjusts his tie. That's national security, Trump snaps. You wouldn't understand. Denzel leans forward, voice low but firm. Security from what? Accountability? Gasps ripple through the audience. The tension is thick enough to touch. Somewhere in the back row, a reporter's camera clicks like a heartbeat. Trump points a finger across the table. You think you can walk in here, read some fake papers, and play the hero? You don't build a country with emotions. You build it with power. Denzel's expression doesn't change. Only his tone, colder, sharper. Power without purpose is just a loan waiting to be called back. A silence falls so deep even the mic seemed to hesitate. The moderator gestures nervously to move on, but the audience is locked in. No one looks away. On social media, the clip hits 1 million views in 10 minutes. Denzel exposes the debt lie, trends across every platform. Analysts replay the exchange in slow motion, the moment Trump blinked first. Then, almost casually, Denzel slides the paper across the table. You said you wrote history, he says. I'm just here to read it out loud. Trump's grin disappears. His jaw tightens. The war of words is now personal. By morning, the headlines are everywhere. Denzel Washington humiliates Trump on live TV. Debt showdown, $38 trillion and one question that shook America. Cable networks loop the footage like a national wound. Some anchors call Denzel brave, others call him reckless. But the clip of him sliding that Treasury document across the table hits harder than any sound bite. No shouting, no theatrics, just quiet conviction. At home in Los Angeles, Denzel sits in silence, watching the replay. The news host calls his confrontation unprecedented. He doesn't smile. He doesn't gloat. He just whispers to himself, "If they're angry at me for asking, imagine how angry they'd be at the truth." Meanwhile, Trump's campaign team is in full spin mode. Spokespeople swarm cable news. This was a setup, a Hollywood ambush. Denzel doesn't understand economics. But the damage is done. Within 24 hours, polls show a sharp drop in public trust toward Washington leadership, not the actor, the capital. America's debt crisis has a face now, and it's the man who asked the question no one dared to. Behind the scenes, Denzel's assistant hands him a printed email, a message from a single mother in Ohio. "I watched that moment with my kids. For the first time, they asked me what debt means. Thank you for asking for us." He folds the letter slowly. This isn't about Trump anymore. It's about what happens when truth starts costing more than money. But while the public rallies around him, the political machine begins to turn its gears. Calls flood into the Treasury Department. A new investigation opens, quietly, off the record. Denzel doesn't know it yet, but he's just kicked open a door no one wanted opened. And behind that door lies something far worse than numbers. 3 nights later, the city doesn't sleep. Washington, D.C. glows under a restless sky. Inside a glass tower near Pennsylvania Avenue, men in suits huddle around a single screen flashing red, "Federal debt accrual, $38.2 trillion. A senior advisor exhales. He wasn't supposed to say it out loud. Then make him regret it, another replies. Back in Los Angeles, Denzel steps out of his black SUV. Flashbulbs explode, reporters shouting, microphones thrust forward. "Mr. Washington, are you planning to run for office? Are you accusing Trump of corruption?" He doesn't answer. Just keeps walking. Calm, measured, the same rhythm as his words on that stage. Later that night, he meets quietly with an old friend, Eleanor Ross, a retired Treasury auditor known for one thing, not being afraid to speak when the truth gets expensive. She slides a manila envelope across the diner table. "You want to know where the money went?" she says. "It's not missing. It's redirected." Inside the envelope, contracts, offshore accounts, invoices tied to infrastructure projects that don't exist. Hundreds of billions routed through shell companies, all linked to a handful of political donors. This, Eleanor whispers, is what $38 trillion hides. Denzel leans back, his face shadowed under the flickering neon light. "And if I take this public? They'll make you wish you hadn't." He stares at the papers, his reflection warped in the coffee cup before him. For a man who's played heroes his whole life, this feels different, not scripted, not safe, and not guaranteed to end well. Outside, rain begins to fall, soft at first, then steady. Each drop against the window sounds like a ticking clock, counting down to the moment the truth hits daylight. By sunrise, chaos has a new name, Denzel Washington. The envelope Eleanor handed him becomes digital wildfire. Anonymous leaks appear on encrypted servers, then spill onto major outlets. Headline after headline lights up like flares across America. Unaccounted trillions, where did the money go? Leaked docs tie federal funds to private donors. And in the center of it all, Denzel's face. Cable networks split into two camps overnight. On one side, Denzel the patriot. On the other, Hollywood traitor. Trump goes live from his private estate, voice tight but confident. "This man's an actor, folks. He reads lines, he doesn't read budgets. He's a disgrace." The crowd behind him roars. Flags wave. Hashtags explode. Hashtag Stand With Trump clashes with hashtag Stand With Denzel. America divides, not just online, but in dinner tables, churches, and classrooms. In a dim studio in New York, Denzel sits for his first interview since the leak. The host, nervous but curious, asks the question everyone's thinking. "Mr. Washington, are you accusing the former president of stealing public money?" Denzel pauses. His gaze locks on the camera, steady, unshaken. I'm accusing the system of lying. And I'm done pretending it's too complicated to understand. For a split second, you can hear the heartbeat of a nation stop. Phones buzz. Tweets flood. The clip goes viral in 9 minutes. Within hours, security cameras catch 2 black SUVs parked outside Denzel's home. No license plates. No movement. Just presence. Eleanor calls that night. They know it was you, she whispers. Good, Denzel says. Then maybe they'll finally start listening. Lightning flashes through his window. The reflection of his own face stares back, not an actor this time, not a politician. Just a man who decided silence was no longer safe. By the next morning, America feels like it's holding its breath. Protest signs rise across every major city. Where's the money? Truth over power. News drones hover above highways as traffic halts for spontaneous rallies. Denzel's words have broken out of television and into the streets. But with every chant, the shadow grows longer. Anonymous accounts leak his home address. Old friends stop answering calls. His agent quits. Sponsors pull out. A late-night host mocks him as the preacher of panic. That evening, Trump returns to prime time, live, unfiltered, unapologetic. The camera loves him, and he knows it. You've all seen it, he begins, hands slicing the air. This Hollywood rebel trying to divide America. He doesn't care about debt, he cares about fame. He leans in, eyes cold. And let me tell you something, this country was built by men who worked, not by actors who pretend. The audience cheers. The words sting harder than any insult. But somewhere, in a small diner outside Atlanta, a group of factory workers watch silently. One of them mutters. Maybe he's right. Maybe they are hiding something. The man next to him replies. If Denzel's lying, why do they look so scared? Meanwhile, Denzel sits alone in his home office, blinds closed, laptop glowing with thousands of unread messages. Among the hate and threats, one catches his eye. My husband died because his Medicaid was cut. You were the first man who said our lives matter more than numbers. Don't stop. He exhales slowly. His hands tremble, not from fear, but from recognition. This fight isn't about him anymore. It's about everyone who can't afford to lose their voice. Outside, thunder cracks over Los Angeles. The rain hammers down, heavy, defiant, relentless. Just like the truth he unleashed. The White House lights burn past midnight. Inside, aides pace nervously as leaked documents flood the press. We can't control it anymore, one whispers. Every reporter in D.C. is connecting the dots. Trump storms into the Situation Room, tie loose, voice sharp. Find the leak. Shut it down. I don't care how. But outside, it's already too late. From New York to Chicago, murals of Denzel begin appearing overnight, stenciled across concrete walls with a single line under his face. Truth isn't treason. College students quote his interview in campus protests. Veterans march holding signs that read, "Debt is the new war." Ministers, activists, single parents, they all echo the same message. Denzel has stopped being a man. He's become a movement. At a candlelight vigil in Detroit, an old preacher's voice trembles through a megaphone. He spoke without fear, and they tried to silence him. But silence only makes courage louder. Meanwhile, in a sleek intelligence office beneath Capitol Hill, something darker unfolds. Screens flash classified labels. A young analyst mutters. We've got intercepted chatter, they're framing him for a cyber breach. Another replies. If they can make him the villain, the truth dies with him. Back in Los Angeles, Denzel meets Eleanor again. She looks tired, eyes red, voice low. "They're coming for you," she says. "They'll call it justice. Don't be here when they do." He leans back, the same calm that's carried him through every ambush. "I'm not running," he says softly. "If truth costs me everything, that means it's finally worth something." Lightning flashes outside. Eleanor grips his hand. "Then God help us all," she whispers. Because the next morning, a federal warrant will bear his name. At 6:45 a.m., every major network cuts to breaking news. Federal investigation opens into actor Denzel Washington for breach of national security. Helicopters circle over Los Angeles. Black SUVs flood his street. Outside, cameras swarm like insects, flashing, shouting, spinning their own versions of the truth. A stern-faced FBI spokesperson stands at a podium in D.C. "Mr. Washington is not under arrest," she insists. "He is being questioned regarding unauthorized access to government information." But no one believes her. The clip of agents entering his property plays on loop. The crowd outside chants his name like an anthem. Denzel. Denzel. Trump takes to social media within the hour. "Told you. Hollywood frauds always fold when the lights turn off. Sad." The post gets 18 million views in 20 minutes. Inside his home, Denzel stands by the window as agents search the halls. His lawyer whispers frantically about rights, procedures, deals, but he isn't listening. His eyes are fixed on the horizon, where hundreds of protesters are gathered, waving homemade signs that read, "He spoke. Now we speak." Eleanor bursts through the door, pale, shaken, holding her phone. "They're trying to delete the files," she gasps. "The evidence, everything we found, it's being wiped." Denzel turns slowly. "Then we back it up the old way." He walks to his desk, pulls out an aged leather notebook, pages filled with notes, dates, handwritten ledgers. No passwords, no digital trail. Just truth on paper. "They can erase data," he says, "but not handwriting." Outside, the chants grow louder. The sky turns gray, the air electric. The country can feel something shifting, not in politics, but in people. For the first time in decades, America isn't watching a movie. It's living one. The courthouse steps are drowned in noise. Helicopters thrum overhead. Protesters, press, politicians, all colliding in one roaring storm of cameras and chaos. The air smells like rain and revolution. Inside, the courtroom hums with tension. Every seat is filled. The prosecution table gleams with polished suits and ambition. Across from them sits Denzel, calm, centered, unflinching. A notebook rests beside him, its worn leather edges the only thing not shining under the fluorescent lights. The judge calls order. Reporters lean forward. The world is watching. And then the door opens. Trump walks in. It's not protocol, former presidents don't testify in hearings like this. But rules haven't mattered for a long time. He takes the stand, smirking, voice dripping confidence. "This man," he points at Denzel, "used classified data to push lies about my administration. He's a threat to our country." A murmur ripples through the room. Cameras flash. Denzel rises slowly, buttoning his jacket. His tone is low, deliberate, the same calm that once silenced late-night studios. "A threat? No, Mr. Trump. A threat is $38 trillion buried under your watch while Americans sleep in cars. A threat is the truth being treated like treason." Trump shifts, jaw tight. "You think you're the hero in this movie?" "No," Denzel replies, voice steady. "I think I'm just tired of watching villains write the script." The crowd gasps. The judge pounds the gavel. Reporters type like wildfire. In that instant, something breaks, not just in the courtroom, but across the country. The clip explodes online within minutes, captions flashing. "I'm not the hero, I'm the witness." Outside, the protesters erupt. Flags wave. Sirens wail. The words echo through loudspeakers and smartphones. The witness has spoken. And somewhere deep inside the Capitol, a locked server room begins to blink, files long hidden flickering back to life. The truth is coming. 3 days after the hearing, America stops pretending it's fine. The debt clock in Times Square freezes, not because the numbers are fixed, but because someone finally dared to say them out loud. Across the nation, classrooms, diners, and factories replay one moment, Denzel standing in that courtroom, saying, "I'm not the hero, I'm the witness." It becomes more than a quote. It becomes a declaration. Trump retreats from cameras. His team scrambles to contain the fallout as leaked documents confirm what Denzel had risked everything to prove: billions rerouted through private deals, shell companies, and offshore accounts tied to political elites. The headlines hit like thunder. Truth wins. System falls. But Denzel isn't celebrating. In a quiet church on the outskirts of D.C., he kneels in the back pew, whispering a prayer. The rain outside falls soft against the stained glass, refracting the light into colors that look almost like hope. Eleanor sits beside him, bruised by sleepless nights but smiling faintly. "You didn't just expose corruption," she says. "You reminded people they still have a voice." He nods slowly, eyes distant. Voices are dangerous when they remember how to speak. Later, as he steps outside, a crowd gathers in silence. No chanting, no cameras, just people. A teacher. A soldier. A nurse. A janitor. All there, not for a celebrity, but for a man who refused to shrink. One young boy at the front raises a handmade sign. "Don't be small." Denzel bends down, smiles, and rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. "That's the whole secret," he says softly. "Never be small." The sun breaks through the clouds. The camera pans out, a sea of faces, unified not by fear, but by clarity. And as the screen fades to black, a single caption appears. "Truth doesn't need permission. It just needs a voice." Maybe this was never about debt or politics. Maybe it was about something deeper, about the price of silence. We've all been told to stay quiet, to play small, to let others decide what truth sounds like. But the truth doesn't whisper. It waits. It waits for someone brave enough to say it out loud. America isn't drowning in debt, it's drowning in denial. And the only way to rise again is to face what we've buried. So no, I'm not the hero. I'm just the man who refused to look away. Because when lies become policy, honesty becomes rebellion. And rebellion, when it's for the truth, is not chaos. It's clarity. This isn't the end. It's the reckoning we've been too afraid to start.